Swiss newspaper Blick revealed that Piastri is actively exploring a move to Ferrari for 2027. The timing couldn't be more dramatic, coming just days after a heated Singapore Grand Prix, where the Australian's relationship with teammate Lando Norris reached a breaking point. What we're seeing at McLaren is a textbook case of a team mismanaging their drivers, explains veteran F1 analyst James Richardson. When you have two exceptional talents fighting for a championship, consistency in how you handle their battles is absolutely crucial. McLaren has failed spectacularly on this front. The signs of trouble became impossible to ignore in Hungary when Piastri, while leading the race, was ordered to let Norris pass. Similar team orders followed in Italy. But when Norris made aggressive contact with Piastri in Singapore, McLaren's response was deafening silence. No investigation, no penalties, no consequences. Piastri's frustration boiled over on team radio. So this is how it's going to be then? Good to know where we stand. The usually composed Australian's tone dripped with barely contained fury. For Mark Webber, Piastri's manager and former F1 driver, these events triggered painful memories. During his Red Bull years, Webber often found himself playing second fiddle to Sebastian Vettel despite matching his teammates' pace. Now, he's determined to prevent history from repeating itself with his protégé. "I've lived through what Oscar is experiencing," Webber recently told media. When a British team starts showing favoritism towards their British driver, despite what the championship standings say, you have to seriously evaluate your options. Those options are looking increasingly attractive. Ferrari will have at least one seat available for 2027 when Lewis Hamilton's contract expires. The seven-time world champion's transition to Ferrari has been anything but smooth, with his Spanish Grand Prix meltdown, where he declared himself useless and invited Ferrari to sack him from his $60 million deal, highlighting just how challenging the move has been. Former Ferrari team principal Marco Antonelli puts it bluntly: Ferrari needs young blood, someone who can grow with the team through the 2026 regulation changes. Piastri represents exactly what Maranello is looking for: raw speed combined with remarkable maturity. But Ferrari isn't the only team watching the situation with interest. Red Bull's Christian Horner previously tried to sign Piastri before his McLaren extension, and recent discussions between Webber and Red Bull management suggest that door remains open. With Max Verstappen's future uncertain, Piastri could be the perfect succession plan. Aston Martin, too, has emerged as a dark horse candidate. Fernando Alonso has hinted that 2026 could be his final season, and the team's massive investment in facilities and personnel makes them an increasingly attractive proposition. The 2026 regulation changes are the wild card in all of this, explains technical analyst Sarah Mitchell. New chassis rules, completely different engines. It's going to shake up the entire grid. Teams that nail these changes will dominate the next era of F1. Drivers know this, and they're positioning themselves accordingly. For Piastri, the next 6 races of 2025 could define his career trajectory. Currently leading the championship in his breakthrough season, how McLaren handles the intensifying battle with Norris will likely determine whether these Ferrari rumors remain speculation or become reality. Team principal Andrea Stella acknowledges the delicate situation. "Managing 2 championship contenders is perhaps the most challenging aspect of my role. We must ensure both drivers feel equally supported while allowing them to race. It's a difficult balance, but one we're committed to getting right." Yet public statements often mask private turmoil in Formula One. Despite signing a contract extension supposedly running through 2028, Piastri wouldn't be the first driver to negotiate an early exit. History shows that where there's a will and sufficient financial motivation, there's usually a way. Mounting pressure within McLaren has created fertile ground for what Paddock insiders are calling the Great Game, an intricate web of negotiations that could reshape Formula One's competitive landscape. Fred Vasseur, Ferrari's shrewd team principal, knows timing is everything. "In Formula One, you don't just sign a driver," he explains. "You invest in a future. When we see exceptional talent potentially available, we must be strategic in our approach." The Italian media has been relentless in their coverage of Hamilton's struggles at Ferrari. The 7-time world champion's detailed reports to management, suggesting widespread structural changes, paint a picture of a champion fighting to adapt. "The Ferrari culture is unique," notes technical director James Allison. Even the most accomplished drivers need time to understand its complexities. Some never do. But it's not just Ferrari circling. Christian Horner's recent appearance at Mark Webber's charity golf event sparked intense speculation. The Red Bull team principal has never hidden his admiration for Piastri, having tried to secure his services before McLaren swooped in. With Max Verstappen's commitment beyond 2025 uncertain, Red Bull is quietly laying groundwork for all possibilities. The intrigue deepened when Aston Martin owner Lawrence Stroll was spotted in deep conversation with Webber during the Singapore weekend. Fernando Alonso's cryptic comments about 2026 being a natural conclusion have only fueled speculation about Aston Martin's long-term driver plans. What we're witnessing is a perfect storm, explains motorsport economist Dr. Elena Rodriguez. You have a generational talent potentially available, major regulation changes looming, and several top teams facing crucial transition periods. The financial implications are staggering. Indeed, the numbers tell their own story. McLaren's recent success has driven their market value to record heights. A Piastri departure could wipe hundreds of millions from their valuation overnight. Conversely, Ferrari's struggles with Hamilton have seen their merchandise sales drop 15% compared to last season. The 2026 regulation changes loom large over every discussion. Teams are already investing heavily in new facilities and personnel. Aston Martin's state-of-the-art campus represents a billion-dollar bet on future success. Ferrari's Maranello headquarters is undergoing its most significant upgrade in decades. These aren't just new rules, explains veteran technical director Pat Simmons. This is a complete reset of Formula One's technical DNA. Teams that get it right will dominate for years. Drivers know this. They're not just choosing teams for 2027, they're betting on who will master the new era. The pressure is beginning to show in McLaren's garage. At the recent Japanese Grand Prix, Piastri's race engineer was overheard apologizing for another team order favoring Norris. The Australian's response was telling, complete radio silence. McLaren CEO Zak Brown attempts to project confidence. We've built this team around both our drivers. Oscar knows our commitment to him is absolute. But Paddock insiders tell a different story. One senior McLaren engineer, speaking anonymously, reveals, the atmosphere has changed. There's a tension that wasn't there before Singapore. Charles Leclerc's manager Nicolas Tot recently added fuel to the fire. Formula One is entering a period of unprecedented change. Every driver, every team is evaluating their position. The decisions made in the next 6 months will shape the sport for years. The financial stakes are enormous. Performance clauses in modern F1 contracts can trigger options worth tens of millions. Ferrari, with their deep pockets and urgent need for success, could easily absorb any buyout fee. But money isn't everything, as Hamilton's difficult transition proves. The true cost isn't measured in dollars, says former Ferrari driver Felipe Massa. It's measured in championships. Ferrari needs a driver who can grow with the team through these changes. Someone young enough to adapt but mature enough to lead. That's a rare combination. As the 2025 season enters its final phase, every radio message, every team order, every interaction between Piastri and McLaren is scrutinized for signs of further deterioration. The championship may be his to lose, but the politics of Formula One wait for no one. The next move belongs to Piastri. With 6 races remaining and a championship in the balance, his focus must remain absolute. But in Formula One, the future is always now. As Mark Webber observed after the Japanese Grand Prix, history teaches us that opportunities like this don't come along often. When they do, you have to be ready to seize them. The pieces are in motion. Ferrari's interest is real, Red Bull is watching, and Aston Martin stands ready. For Oscar Piastri, leading the championship might prove easier than navigating the political waters that could define his future in Formula One.